Hello everyone, and as we say in Lebanese Arabic, marhaba. My name is Rita Al Munayir, and I'm the Executive Director of the Arabic channels in Sat7. Sat7 is a Christian television network serving the Middle East and North Africa. And today with me, I have the visionary and the founder of Sat7, Dr. Terence Ascott. Welcome, Dr. Terence.
Thank you.
It's very unusual that we meet in Brazil and do this video. I mean, you could have made it in Lebanon or Egypt or Cyprus, but I don't know why here. Anyway, maybe people ask, like, what is Sat7? And maybe you can start, like, why satellite, why television, before we go and explain a little bit about the Middle East.
Well, I suppose television has become a very important part of life in the Arab world, with high levels of illiteracy and people's desire to be engaged with society. Television has become their main source of information and entertainment. In fact, you know, once you've got a TV, it's an endless source of free information, free entertainment. It's distraction from the grinding poverty you might be in or the war zone that you might be living with. And it's a must-have appliance. People buy a TV before a bed, even. But
tell us, you know, like Sat7 is a terrestrial television, satellite?
The challenge, especially when it comes to the Christian minority, has been that they've not had airtime on terrestrial government-controlled television stations. And so when satellite television began at the beginning of the 1990s, this opened a door, an incredible opportunity for the church to go outside of its walls and to share its message with everyone, to remove the negative stereotypes that they have about Christians and introduce the Christian faith to people in a real way, using the medium that has become the main way they get their information. So it was a wonderful opportunity to bypass censorship, to go and broadcast into all these different Middle East countries Christian content. Well, there's three big major language blocks in the Middle East. There's Arabic, that's spoken by 360 million people. There's Farsi, or Persian, which is spoken by about 100 million people in Iran and neighboring countries, parts of Afghanistan. And then there's Turkish, which is also spoken by about 100 million people in various countries from Central Asia through to Turkey. So these were the main broadcast languages of this region, and that we were concerned to develop programming in all those languages.
And why do you think people watch us? I mean, what do we bring, you know, like something unique to the viewers in the Middle East and North Africa?
Well, I think that depends on the channel and the country in a way. But we're unique in terms we bring a different message to political channels, entertainment channels, sports channels, and kids channels.
What is this message?
It's a message of hope. It's a message of reconciliation. It's a message of inclusiveness. It's a message of salvation. It's an opportunity for people, because right now, especially after the Arab uprisings of 2011, people have lost hope. They lost hope when the Arab uprisings resulted in nothing but bloodshed and misery. And we have a chaotic situation across the Middle East today. It's true that the only real hope for the Middle East is to influence the younger people in the region, because they're the ones that are open to change. They're the ones who are the future leaders in the region. And if we can shape their minds with positive values, with a better attitude to Christ, Christians and the church, help them to think of people who are different as equals who should be treated equally under the law, this would be a major breakthrough. Already we have this 24-hour children's channel, and it's had an amazing impact across the region.
So the three Arabic channel, one is on Hotbird, the other one is the family channel with women and youth programs and live programs and church services, and the third one is the children channel.
24 hours a day
kids.
For kids, because we're covering 6 time zones. It's very difficult to schedule programming for children, so we give them a whole range of options. This channel has won the hearts of the parents in a way that we could never have imagined. For example, 1 in 4 homes in Saudi Arabia today admit in a public survey conducted by a marketing company in Saudi Arabia, a quarter of all Saudis admitted that their children watch this channel with their permission and agreement of the parents.
Now, Terry, I would like to shift, the subject a little bit and talk about budget or funding like these channels. And maybe also share with the people who are watching some of our biggest projects that need funding, and because we don't have the money, we're putting them aside. So can you tell us, how much is our budget, the 5 channels? It should be millions and millions of dollars, and from where do you get the funds?
Okay, let me just start with the model of Christian broadcasting. As we look around the world, most Christian broadcasters, whether it's radio or television, they sell a lot of their airtime to sponsors who will buy a half-hour block for their program to be dubbed or subtitled into other languages. And the money they get from selling the airtime provides them with funds to make their own programs. So you have 2 hours of programming in Spanish, original programming, and then the rest is subtitled or dubbed Western televangelists. The problem with this model is that it's driven by the donors, and you don't always end up with a schedule that's interesting for everyone. There's no children's programming, there's nothing that deals with other areas of life, marriage counseling and so on. It's really preacher after preacher. We didn't want to adopt this model, as I mentioned earlier, because we didn't want Christianity to look like a foreign import. We wanted to give a platform to local Christians.
So you don't have any foreigners on the screen?
Very few.
Okay.
And if we have them there, it's not because they paid money to be there, it's because we chose them. We do dub, films and dramas and good documentaries and cartoons for kids.
So what's the budget? What's your budget?
Our budget's about $15 or $16 million.
Okay,
and
so
that's
can
divided
you compare
between,
compare it with the other television station budget?
Another channel that everyone will have heard of, or another network, is Al Jazeera. They began the same year as us. They now broadcast 5 or 6 different channels. They get an annual subsidy of $200 million from the Emir in Qatar.
For one channel or
for the network. And we haven't, in 20 years, yet spent $200 million total, never mind about subsidy. So, yes, it's very modest compared to secular television. We operate on a fairly modest basis.
Okay.
We have a measured viewership of at least 15 million regular viewers. There are, of course, many more that watch occasionally. So that really means that for $1, we can provide 365 days of programming for a known viewer of one of the channels.
Viewer,
a measured known viewer.
Very good. Yes.
So it's very cost effective, but more than that, of course, it's the only way many of these people will hear about the Christian faith.
But where do you operate? I mean, where do you record your programs? Do you have studios? Do you have location, bureaus, offices? Tell us more
we have
about
55 staff in Egypt. That's our biggest center for production, because there are more Christians in Egypt than probably the rest of the Middle East put together. So it's a great resource center for us. Then we have some beautiful new studios that were donated to us in Lebanon.
Okay.
And we have a studio in Turkey, in the basement of a supermarket. It's a very big area where we've created 2 studios and administrative offices. I'd hate to work there. There's no windows in the place. But and then we have a small studio in London that we do live programs into Iran every weeknight from those studios in London, because there are many Iranian Christians living in London.
Okay.
And because we can't actually produce anything in country
Iran
at the moment, we hope that will change.
And
then we have a small studio in Cyprus that we do also Iranian and Arabic programming.
Did you mention Turkey and I missed it?
Yes, you did.
Yes, sorry. Okay. Maybe you can explain a little bit how people watching this can be involved and
certainly they can get onto our email newsletter lists to get regular news in different languages that will help you to pray for our work and to become more familiar with the situation in the Middle East that's really a very needy place at this time. You can also make donations through the website, and there will be addresses given at the end of this video that you could also send a gift to in support of the channels.
Okay, very good. Tell us like a little bit about, like a follow-up and audience relation. I mean, okay, these viewers like watch, like so they write, they're excited, so what happened next?
Well, we run a number of telephone counselling centres that people can call. These, some of these are running 24/7 now, with multiple operators available in different time zones around the world. Certainly the PARS channel gets a lot of phone calls, partly because of the censorship on the internet, but there's also all kinds of social media that we're using today.
All these social media platforms?
Yeah, and we're using Telegram now for interacting with our viewers, of course text messaging, and Skype and all kinds of VoIP systems. So the possibilities are almost unlimited.
And then you have partnered. Do you partner with the church, with the local church?
Absolutely. In fact, our international council has 25 different members from 17 different countries and from all the major Christian denominations across the Middle East. So we try to be as inclusive as possible and work with believers in all the churches across the region. It's a very unique structure in a way, and it's been a blessing to discover the spirituality in the different churches, so and for the churches to discover each other through the screen of Sat7. We are a voice for the church. The church will not die. It will be oppressed, it'll be broken, it'll be bruised, it'll be without hope sometimes, but it will survive. It is the Church of Christ, and it will be victorious. And they will make a difference. It will be salt and light in society again. And we pray that our efforts will help to that end.
See, that's why I'm excited about the ministry of Sat7. Is this hope that we're bringing to people like me, a Middle Eastern, who lived all their lives in the Middle East and lived the hardship and all these problems that Terry talked about today. Yes, there is hope. And I hope you watching this video will participate, will take a role in all this, because we're people that we're very open. We're people like you. Muslims in the region are people like you. Refugees in the region are people like you and me. All they want is to live a normal life, to go to school and have education and fall in love and get married and have children and work in a nice, workplace and have dignity. So will you take part of this and help us by praying, by giving, whatever? Like, you can go to the website www.sat7.org. There's a lot of ways where you can help the Middle East today.